So just starting out, Josh, just tell me a little bit about yourself and your agency. How did you get to be to where you are now, and what really brought you into the insurance industry?
Then I graduated from Louisiana Tech in 2001. At that time, just really didn't know exactly what career path I wanted to take. Ended up going to work for a captive agency. Did that for 5 years and did a lot of long-term care business, a lot of Medicare business. After those 5 years, went to work for another captive agency for 3 years. And during those 3 years, really figured out that if I wanted to be a career insurance person, I needed to be independent. So along with my business partner in 2009, we started our agency. And our primary idea was, hey, let's take the really good things you get from that captive side with training, support, really investing in developing our agents. Let's take those aspects of the captive side and let's not limit them with product. Let's be independent.
Mm-hmm.
So we did that in 2009. So here we are. 12 years down the road, and we've built a pretty solid agency. We've got roughly 20 full-time agents. That's our core group of people. They do 100% of their insurance business with us. We've also got a brokerage, and it's more of an arm's length relationship. These guys typically own their own agency, or they're really kind of doing their own thing out there, but they just might need us to access a particular product or contract.
Sure.
So that's really at the 30,000 foot view what we do. We've also got a property and casualty agency that we own and operate too.
So are you solely in Shreveport, or do you have offices in some of the surrounding area there?
No, I've got an office in Monroe, Louisiana also.
Okay. Oh, very good.
We've got agents spread out Arkansas, Louisiana, primarily, and Mississippi.
So you're licensed then those three states. Okay.
We are. We're licensed in because where we are in Louisiana, we're only about 10 minutes from Texas. So we're licensed in Texas. And actually, I do have one of our core agents that recently moved to the Dallas area. So we've got agents over there.
Oh, very good. Getting the whole territory down there. That's very good.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about, let's flip over to the Collogic side. Why did you decide to add Collogic to your agency's marketing strategy?
Man, I've been looking for a way for the last couple of years. And right prior to COVID, we did start a small call center. And my agent in there, I've always threatened her with a auto dialer. So started really doing some research, a little over a year ago, looking for some of that software. I did hit a lot of dead ends because it seemed like everything I wanted or everything I looked at wanted me to move all of my voice over IP and all my other providers. But I wanted something that was just a simple add-on. And found Collogic and started with 3 accounts on that, did kind of small. And, now I use my call center agent, Stacy. I kind of use her to give testimonials to other agents, because it's such a user-friendly program. You just get in and you dial into it, and it takes that process of having to dial every phone number out of the loop, so it increases the volume of calls you can make tenfold. I think I gave her a week and a half ago a list that had 4,000 people on it, and she's already gone through that thing 2 full times.
Wow.
There's no way you could do that if you're picking up the phone dialing.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. So some of the initial challenges that you had, I know the efficiency is always one. I've talked to other agents and they said that a lot of times they experience what you call as call bias is something I've heard before. Is that something you would experience at all? Maybe people reluctant to call certain individuals in a list or anything like
Yeah,
that?
I've never heard the phrase call bias before, but that's interesting. I can figure out what that is.
Okay.
But definite call reluctance. I think every agent, at some point in time, you experience that. And this
Sure.
just kind of takes that out of your control. You call in, and it doesn't matter if you're doing it from a cell phone or from a landline. Wherever you are, you can dial in. It's all done. It's all controlled from your computer. It's really cool. It's easy to create the campaigns in there. So if I'm doing multiple campaigns in different areas, I'm able to keep up with that. I can just go work through a campaign. When I'm done with that one, I can go to another one, and I can keep them organized that way too.
Absolutely. Now, as far as the different calls that everybody's making, is it mainly prospecting or do you do any sort of cross selling? I know some agencies, they'll even focus on win backs from time to time, past customers and things.
Yeah, the only thing we've used it for is strictly prospecting.
Okay.
We do, we've really made headway in a market that for years we neglected a little bit just because of the just the sheer amount of marketing that goes to that turning 65 prospect, somebody that's fixing to age into Medicare.
Oh,
For years, we never didn't really invest in a whole lot of time or effort into that market just because they were getting hammered from so many fronts. But now we've been able to really make some headway into that. I can get a list of people that are turning 65 for the next 4 or 5 months, and I can load that up into that Collogic system, and man, it just back to back just dials those numbers until somebody picks up on it. So
that's an interesting approach. I haven't heard that one before as far as people targeting for those turning 65 for the Medicare. Why do you think the phone call is working over, say you're saying there was other fronts out there that they were being hit by? Why do you think that's been effective for that group? They're maybe more
man, I
receptive
think
to it.
it's because I think that phone call actually, makes it a little more relatable for them
Sure.
because we're not the big insurance company, sending them a solicitation. Man, I'm somebody that's down the road from them. I'm in their community, and they get they get a lot from, and these other like big call centers. They're getting calls all the time, and I think that's worked to our advantage somewhat because it's nice to hear from somebody that's local. Somebody that knows where they are and who they are and what doctors they need to see and what networks those plans need to include.
Right.
So
Yeah, it's got that trust
yeah,
factor
yeah.
in there. So how do you fit Collogic into your agency's workflow? Is it, some agencies, they'll do scheduled call blocks. You'll say, okay, between, 10 and 12, you don't have anything on your schedule, you're making phone calls, or if you're not busy, this is what you're doing. How do you fit that into your operation?
Yeah, we have scheduled phone times, and they're typically 2 days a week, and those days are used to set appointments for the following 3 days. But we have a lot of agents that they incorporate that even on a daily basis just to do initial touches with people, to maybe mail some information out to them and just kind of get those conversations going because
Sure.
they can sign into that thing, and within an hour's time, they've made a couple hundred phone calls. So
Wow. Do you have set call goals for your staff or anything like that?
no, I really don't. I've never really set any call goals, but we've got activity goals on the other end on number of appointments that I want them to have on a
Okay.
weekly basis, things like that.
Okay. So would you say Collogic is helping them achieve those activities?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
Because the phone has been a challenge, increasingly over the last probably 5 years, because not as many people have a landline phone.
Right.
Plus, every day I get them, you get them, everybody gets them, man. Somebody wanting to increase my car warranty and stuff like
Yeah,
that,
I hear you.
refinance my house, so just the volume of calls, you just got to make up for it in the volume of calls. So I mean, it's just helping us get to that number there.
Very good. Now, Josh, do you use any other features with the system? I know some agencies, they'll use the pre-recorded voicemail feature. It saved them a lot of time from leaving manual voicemails just to get plant the seed, and maybe you can get a call back from that as well.
Yeah, I've had a couple agents use it, and they typically won't use it on that first or second attempt, but maybe when you get to that third or final attempt, leave a voicemail there. And gosh, that is a time saver, because as that thing is leaving your voicemail, you can be on to 2 or 3 more of the next phone calls.
Right.
So that's a really cool feature.
Okay, that's
and it keeps you from getting wore out.
Exactly.
Leaving the same message over and over and over
can kill you. I know there was one recruiter I actually talked to, and I know it's a different industry, but he used the system, and one of the strategies he found successful with it was basically every phone call they would make, they would leave the voicemail. If there was no answer, they'd leave the voicemail, but then they would also send an email as well saying like, hey, we just called you. Like they had like an email template they would send. And his thought process was that, nowadays everybody's getting bombarded from so many different fronts out there, whether it's a text message, an email. I mean, your email gets flooded with all kinds of things. So he goes, I don't really know what channel someone's going to tune into. So I try to hit them on all 3 fronts, the email, the phone call, and if they don't answer, the voicemail. And he said from there, he's seen a huge increase in responses from there. So that's, just a thought for you from someone else that's been successful. Yeah. So what would you say to someone who, we get a lot of agents out there, they say, outbound calling, it's a thing of the past. Nobody answers anymore. You talk about the landline issue. That's always an objection. And they think that, we can just email people or rely on leads. What would you say to someone who believes they don't need to be calling?
Man, I'd say there's no one perfect way to prospect. And, that phone is still going to be a vital part of what you do. I mean, I don't see it ever getting replaced.
Right.
You do have to have multiple things going out there, whether it's digital or in the mailbox or, something on social media. But you'll never take that phone totally out of that equation.
Absolutely. I agree. So the final question I have for you, Josh, kind of an open-ended question is, what's one piece of knowledge or advice you can provide to other business owners that you've learned along the way from your journey, starting out from, really not knowing what you want to do to, owning this agency and growing from there?
Yeah, man. I would say, especially how the Collogic thing fits into what we're doing. And this is something that I'm glad I found Collogic, because it is, it really increased the volume of what we do. And it doesn't matter if you're selling insurance or cars or timeshares, whatever it is. It's a numbers game. And just having a system that's easy to use, like Collogic, it's portable. Man, I could take this thing to the lake and do it from the back of my boat if I wanted to,
Yeah.
But, just having that, that can increase that activity, you're going to see your productivity increase,
right.
just because you're able to do so much more with it.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's sales. It's a numbers game. I always relate it to baseball. The more at bats you get, the higher you have a chance at increasing your average.
You're right.